Welcome everyone to the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jim.
And Jim, would you consider yourself a investment advisor or a wealth manager?
Oh, interesting question, because the terms often get interchanged, but I would probably say a wealth manager.
A wealth manager. I agree. It's not because you don't provide investment advice.
Yeah.
But it's because we do more than provide investment advice. And I should have pulled this up here, but I think I can get it quick.
That was what swung me. Is investment advisor sounds great, but to me it implies that you only talk about the investments. And I think that's a big thing that we don't just do, right? Is we pride ourselves on the fact that we want to talk about a lot more than just the investments.
That's right. And we have here, this is our peak process slide that we go through with people that are learning about our business, like when we're doing a first meeting with somebody. And so obviously we're trying to find out if there's a good fit between what you're looking for and what we offer. But then we go right into planning, and we're trying to understand the goals, okay? So if you're an investment advisor, you're probably just talking about risk and performance, okay? And that's probably it, okay? The investment advisor maybe is picking their own stocks, their own funds, ETFs, and all of the conversations revolve around investments and strategy and performance and outlook and so on. What's the crystal ball, right?
Right.
So we talk about that stuff, but a lot less, okay, because we're also talking about the planning as well. So they're both very important, but we think that planning cannot be ignored. We add a lot of value in that planning component. And so we're trying to understand, first and foremost, what are all the goals, and are we on track to reach those goals?
Yeah.
And then secondly, once we know that direction that we're going in, we want to optimize everything. So these are the general categories, cash flow, debt, investments, taxes, estate, and insurance. And so most investment advisors are not going to cover those topics, whereas a wealth manager is going to cover them with their own tools or also bring in outside experts to help as well.
Yeah, I think something that it makes me think of a podcast we did a couple weeks ago where we talked about, Roth IRAs and being balanced in a Roth IRA or being aggressive.
Seems just like yesterday.
Doesn't it? Taxable account, right? If I was only an investment advisor, I would just be talking about these things. The risk profile, well, he said he wants to be balanced. He doesn't want to take too much risk. Or, a strategist, he wants the money to grow, so I would just pick any old strategist that I thought would grow rather than thinking about the tax consequence of it. What strategist you use within your taxable account, what level of risk you're taking in your Roth IRA versus your pre-tax IRA versus your joint investment account. I just think that is a perfect example of why you just have to think about more than just the investments.
I agree. And so that's the tax aspect, okay? Then there's also cash flow. And a lot of times we're not going through someone's budget line by line. Sometimes we do, but very rarely. Ultimately, cash flow is a behavioral topic, I think, and people need to be pointed in the right direction, and they need to be given the tools to understand, what their income and expenses look like, and also are those, and we have to have that today to understand what the retirement goals look like. And so if you're spending $10,000 per month right now, just to throw out a number, you say you're spending $10,000 per month right now. Is that real? We want to see some evidence that that's the case. Because if you just say that's the number, no offense, but we've been doing this for so long that we're not going to take that number and run with it. We need to see the details. And then is that $10,000 that you're spending today, is that the same? Is that the number for the retirement goal, or are there going to be changes? Maybe the mortgage will be paid off. Maybe you still have kids that you're supporting at home, and they're going to be out of the house. So maybe those expenses in retirement will actually be less.
Yeah, and I think too often people get hung up on the rule of thumb. I'm only going to need 60% or 80% of my pre-retirement income. Well, show me that, right? Because if you think you're only going to, you're spending $100,000 now and you're only going to need 60 in retirement, like if we're wrong and you really need 100, that's an incredibly big difference in how that retirement plan is going to look.
Absolutely. So, debt, the big thing that we look at with debt is making sure that that mortgage is paid off before retirement. Even with these 3% legacy mortgages, we still don't want to have that payment when we're in retirement. And so that's the big thing that we're thinking about with debt right now. And if we have to get a new mortgage, certainly we have to have a plan for that. We kind of already talked about investments, but also are we saving enough, right? And so you say, hey, I'm maxing out. Well, to a lot of people, maxing out means getting the full match. And that's incorrect. Okay. We have to max out the 401 like 23,000 or 31,000 if you're over age 50. And, depending on when you started, that might not be enough. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we see this all the time. People have really high expectations for their retirement goals. So just doing the 401, even if you're maxing, might not do it. Jimmy talked about taxes earlier, but these are two other areas that people habitually avoid. Okay, like estate planning. If you have little kids, you have to have an estate plan in place, and we can point you in the right direction when it comes to that. We can help you partner with the right law firm or a local attorney, and then with insurance, maybe you can get enough insurance to cover your mortgage, right? Your kids' college, and some income replacement. Maybe you can get that through work, and it could be affordable, or maybe you need your own separate term policy, but it's oftentimes overlooked, and I don't like to talk about insurance. Kind of feel like an insurance sales guy when we bring it up.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to sell the insurance. I'd rather just put you in an easy term policy.
Yeah, but for a lot of people, it needs to be in place. You got to cover the risks, and we're willing to have that conversation to make sure that our clients are covered.
One thing that we did was we just bought a 20-year term policy each time we had a kid. And so I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. So those policies are getting pretty old. So they're going to be expiring soon. You think, well, that was dumb. But actually, it was really smart. And I'm glad that we have it in place. And I'll be happy to outlive the term.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Okay, so these are some of the topics that we talk about with wealth management. And so I think it's just really important to know if you're working with an advisor and they're not covering these topics, these are the topics that we will cover. So if you're looking for a second opinion, maybe you're unhappy with your advisor, and maybe it's not all about performance. It's about, hey, are we getting the advice that we're talking about today? Time for a second opinion. Reach out to us at peakwm.com.